Welcome and good evening. I am Maria Cosme, also known as Brown Girl Interrupting, and this is the show called Pain to Power Leading with Love, where we turn our struggles into strengths, we heal in community, and we take away tools to be able to grow and evolve in our healing evolution. So, thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure that you subscribe, like, and share, leave a comment. And if you're in the chat with us, please make sure you let yourself know and leave an emoji, say hello, just chat with us while you're here. And so today is an important day, and we're going to be talking about this idea of brushstrokes for belonging. Belonging isn't something we just give to people. It's something that we're actually building with others. So true belonging happens when we invite voices in, when we create a space that actually reflects the people who live inside it. And it's about trusting to help shape what exists through the voices and the authentic ideas and information from the people that exist within it. So today's conversation is really about that kind of belonging. And that's the co created kind, the kind that says you matter here in communities that have often been overlooked or overmanaged. So, in some spaces, belonging actually becomes an act of resistance. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, this episode of Pain to Power is inviting us to look at what happens when community is treated as collaborators and not recipients, when creativity becomes a bridge and belonging becomes the foundation for healing, leadership, and possibility. So, before I bring my guest on, I want to say that when you open the website for Capitol Hill Boys and Girls Club, there's a line that invites you in. And I love this. And it says, watched over with love. That to me says a lot about this space and what we're going to be learning about today about Dietrich Williams and the space that he has created with many artists and other leaders. So, at the corner of 1603 Good Hope Road, Southeast, is a vibrant hub of youth programming that has blossomed since its founding in May of 2023. That's the Capitol Hills Boys and Girls Club, and it's a second home for many in DC and Ward 8 of Anacostia. Today, I'm really honored to introduce the founder of this space, Dietrich Williams.
Hello.
Hi, Dietrich.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, doing really, really well. Staying warm.
Staying warm. That is so important right now because we are cold, very cold, and there's a lot going on right now, right? So we're gonna kind of warm up the space and warm up the conversation, talking about this amazing space that you've created. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story. I know that you're not one who loves the limelight, and
Right.
so I know this is a rare treat that I have earned. So it's an honor to have you here, and I got to say shout out to Kelly and Lemonade Dream for connecting us together, for certain. So when I invite people on here, I always ask them about their personal relationship between turning pain into power. So when you think about that for yourself and in your own journey, what does that mean to you?
Uh, I've learned to be proud of humble beginnings and struggles. It has been a launching pad for where we are at the laundromat, and just being forward facing from the struggles we've had to make correct adjustments to continue programming and extending ourselves to the community. So for us and myself, turning pain into power is just more so about being vulnerable, about leaving space and leaving yourself open to others, to ask questions, to critique, to learn from you, and vice versa, and just being a space for community.
Hmm. That's a beautiful thing, though, to think about that vulnerability is allowing that space, and it creates that trust and safety, right? And then to be the space itself. And there's a lot of intentionality you put into all of this. Before we go into so deep into, because I definitely want to hear and learn more about the space that you've created and what it does and what it's been for and the impact it's made. But I want to know a little bit more about your own story, right? So you, on your website, you talk about growing up in Hill East in DC. So tell me just a little bit about some like important memories of community from your own childhood that stand out to you?
I have a lot of memories of my community and of community that stand out to me growing up on Capitol Hill. My home was a communal place for the community. Every weekend, every Sunday. Um, but even beyond that, during the weekdays, a lot of folks would come. My grandmother was the first female chef operator for Mail and Rail, which is now Union Station. And so my house, my kitchen sort of operated more like a pub, and the community would come in and people would eat and people would bring food. And my grandma just would cook for everybody. And, she had a very much open door thing, which gave a lot of way to how I am and why we program the way we program over at
Mhm.
that gallery space with so much activity.
Mhm. That's beautiful, and I love that because it's like the legacy that was nurtured in you through your experience is what now you're paying forward and bringing for others, right? So there's a lot of intentionality with that. I mean, so to that, like, what you talked about the laundromat. Let's go
Mhm.
back into that because I don't think everybody knows what we're talking about here. So tell me about when you say the laundromat, what are you really talking about? What does that represent for you?
It is a communal space. It is an artist gallery. It is a functional art gallery. We took a abandoned laundromat and you know uh, rehabbed it or renovated it into art gallery. It is 2,500 square feet inside interior space. We have actually private studios downstairs, and then we have another 10,000 square feet exterior space on the outside of the gallery, and we have a myriad of programs there. So we operate 7 programs throughout the year there, and they are seasonal. Some overlap, like our Murals program and Anacostia Festival and our art club. We have a summer camp that we operate. We have a poetry and spoken word program, which is adults only, um,
Mm.
that we operate, but we have youth that do spoken word and poetry as well. Um, we also, is that it? Yeah, that's all 7 of them. Yeah. The after school program, the summer camp, the Murals
Mhm.
program, the Murals Festival, which is different from the Murals program. In the Murals program, we go into communities and with high traffic area and establish 6 or 7 murals, sometimes 4 or 5 across a block. We look to go make an impact visually and physically by coming to the neighborhood and just making our presence be known, and we're doing something positive. And for every block that we're on, it's a different initiative to embrace and just be open and be vulnerable to meet people. Painting outside, doing public art. This is just this wide open wall where people just say anything to you, and we lead with intentional, so we expect them to say some things, and we already have some things for them because we want them to participate. Because we want them to participate, right? We want these,
Yeah. Yeah,
we want
yeah.
these murals to be community based and forward, and we want them to lead with their hands. People are a lot less likely to
Mhm.
deface, defile things in the neighborhood when they put it up, right? And so,
Yeah.
we're so gentrified here in DC. Here's an opportunity to put your footprint or your hands on a piece of visual art that's going to stand the time in your neighborhood. And so we've had a lot of great feedback and participation and collaboration with that in several areas in Ward 8 and Ward 7, see Ward 6, and even Uptown in Northwest.
Mhm.
So doing murals that way has really opened a door for us, myself, Mark, to continue creating new programs and bringing new people on to our team, volunteers. Um, it's been great.
I mean, that's a transformation. One, you just spoke of the place, right? The location and the building and the transformation of that. But what you have
Oh,
done with this program, there's so much more. Can I ask though, I know that a picture went up there and it's on your website. Who are the
Mhm,
people? There are 3 of you
mhm.
in that. I just wanna, recognize, like, who are
Yes.
what are the roles and who is the core behind this, in
Well, the
addition to
core
you?
is more than just us three, but we are like the physical faces that people see.
Okay.
Myself, Mark, we started this mural program with one grant for $7,500 about 5 years ago. And we had the opportunity to do a mural at Hopkins Community Farm. And you know what? We said we're going to do the whole farm, and we're going to redo the playground, and we're going to do the skateboard park. And we were excited just to continue, just to do what we wanted to do. And then we fast forward, we're about 70 murals later. We meet Brian, we open the gallery. Brian walks in, and I like to say, I don't know if Brian got stuck with us or we got stuck with him, but the love is Brian is amazing. Mark is our program manager. So things
Mhm.
like our art club or our murals program, Mark runs lead on those things. I run lead on things like our summer camp, our after school program. We collectively do the Anacostia Murals Festival. Brian is a self-starter, firecracker, room igniter. He leads our schools for our after-school art club. We're trying to get more schools for him. He's an amazing artist in person. We also have Michaela. Michaela, she's not in any of these pictures. She likes to stay even more low-key than me.
So let's shout her out and give her some flowers, right?
yes. Michaela is amazing. Michaela was one of our kids. We had our program at Easton Senior High School.
That's amazing.
And Michaela is a kid who would come into the program with her headphones on, and me and Mark thought she ain't like us. We thought she's just like she's coming. She's not listening to anything. And we didn't know that Michaela had moved from another country, from St. Lucia, from the Caribbean, and she had to do night school and recovery classes to catch up,
Mm.
which was ridiculous because in making her do that, she graduated at 16 years old. Like so, she's super bright, super
Which
smart
is
kid. She's an
brilliant, right?
amazing artist.
Yeah.
She's an amazing artist. She wants to be an engineer, and we're all here to push her to take internships, to do whatever she needs to do to be on the path of becoming whatever she wants to become. Our kids in
Mm.
our program, that's what we're about continuously supporting kids and their journeys and the things that they want to do beyond just programming
Mhm.
with us or doing the things in the programs that we do. So yeah, she's an amazing kid. And then we have like Victor. Victor does all of our Victor Garrett. Victor does all of our in-house gallery hanging work and fabrication. So anything we need built at the gallery or if we're at an external space, Vic is doing that for us. We have Sydney Buffalo, who's going to be probably leading our residency program because we have a residency program. That's what I got to say. We have a residency program for artists that we operate between the months of August to June.
Mhm.
And the residency program is where we allow our artists to take over our space for 6 to 7 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. They'll have an opening exhibit, a closing exhibit. We have a budget for them. We have grant funds for them, and we have a show. They sell the work. They retain every dollar that they make, and then they have 7 weeks to monetize our space for their benefit. So during the day when we're just a gallery or non-after school days, they can do programming, they can do pop-ups, they can do whatever they want. They can use the gallery as freely as they need. They can just come in there and work. If they want
Wow.
help with grant writing, I can help them with that. So did that 6 to 7 weeks is really like an entrepreneurship boot camp in
Yeah, yeah,
a loose setting for
yeah.
artists, where they work with Mark and myself, and we're gonna be bringing Sydney Buffalo on board, who's an amazing artist, um, and she does some of our also outreach programming as well.
Mhm.
And then we have Ryan.
Hmm.
Um, Ryan is a graffiti based artist. Ryan, as I affectionately like to say, him and a few other people, they just like draw with spray paint cans. They like we use pencils to draw. They can
That's a
draw with paint. Yeah,
talent. That is a
it's
serious talent,
super
right?
talented. And also, he's a major cog in a producer in the Anacostia Murals Festival with me, Mark, Ryan, Brian, and Victor. And then we have Ife, right? Ife, she does our spoken word, which is called Smoking Word. It is libation friendly. It's adult only. It's adult only, 21 and over. But she leads that program for us, hosts, artist herself. She's an amazing artist. And so, is I'm trying to think about that. No, I'm gonna forget about it. And our volunteer parents.
Right. Okay.
Our volunteer parents, and not to mention the founders of CHBC. So, Capitol Boys Club is Capitol Boys Club, not Boys and Girls Club. But Capitol Boys Club was founded by 8 of us who lived on Hill East, and it was more so like an umbrella for 7, 8 to 9 different companies. And mine was going to be the art-based company. It works with youth and do youth development, etc. And some of the co-founders, they have these companies. Like we have programming in Seattle where they do storyboarding, production, podcasting, and so we just kept those 2 particular programs operating. And it's just been wonderful. It's been wonderful to pull kids and take them to Seattle, right? We take our kids across the country as well, take them to Seattle to meet the kids, to meet the other co-founders of the company, or they'll meet them when they come in for special events and things of that nature. But the people who I've just named are totally responsible for the things that happen and operate at the laundromat. And then let me not forget our community partners that I love working with, whether it's Art Bay or DJ Artist or Shiloh, who does like DJing, photography, graffiti. It's hundreds of artists who we work with who are just amazing. And I want to also shout out to one of them, Tammy Barnes. I have to, because
I know. No, there's so many people. So we got a lot. There's a lot.
It's a lot. And Tammy is an amazing artist who helped with the Anacostia Murals Festival. She is the artist that developed the coloring book. We had a coloring book for the Anacostia Murals Festival, and she coordinated gathering all of the images from the artist to coordinate this and pull this off. And we were all very appreciative of it. And when we met, those same coloring books were still reaping the benefits, of our organization being passed out, the work that Tammy did 9 months later, right? And so there are many people like that, or Dee Dwyer or Kiana Jones or Presto. These are people who have organizations who help, or like Chloe, it would be like Lisa Agent and Nikki and Miss T. Like it's a lot of people who we work with who contribute to help make CHBC at the laundromat what it is. It's not just myself and Mark and Brian. Yeah.
No, and I appreciate you lifting up all the people like who clearly it's that's what sounds like it's community based, right? Like it really is the entire community. I love that you named students who were once a part of the program who are now part of like leading pieces. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I mean, and what I wonder, because I think this is what, like every piece you just named, every person and the programs that they're doing and the connections, there's so much intentionality of making it more than just activities, right? Like you create something that is so much deeper than that. If we were like a fly on the wall, I want to go back to like the moment when you and whomever it was, like who you were working with, it was Mark and Brian or whoever it was, but like that vision of what you wanted this to be like that stood out from other art spaces.
I wanted it to be, and still we work for this, like to be open, to be a space and place that not people just want to come, but they feel welcome when they come. Having the opportunity to lead a lot of youth organizations in the city and in the region, it gave me insight on how to be more welcoming to communities, no matter what the surroundings are, like no matter what's outside, how to make people feel welcome and warm when they come to be a part of your program.
What are some of the elements of that? Like, what is it? Now, you named the programs themselves, but
Mhm.
what are some of those? I think oftentimes people miss the smaller intentional moves and conditions and spaces that are created to do that. How would you describe those very intentional decisions you've made in the space, but also in the relationships that create that sense of people feeling like they're part of it?
Um, it's a bunch of different ways. A bunch of different ways. Man, you start by acknowledging, like, we have, it was two more people who I left out. So you acknowledge stuff like that. Oh man, Abdul Brown, who does our summer camp and who's done our summer camp with us, and Lewis Guy, man, Lewis Waters. These are three men who are phenomenal artists who live in the Anacostia area or who work around the Anacostia area, and who are phenomenal artists and also contribute to what we do. Guy Lou, he does our after school program at Statesman Boys Academy. We have a program at Statesman Boys Academy every day after school, 5 days a week. Lou is there. And we have Abdul, as I said before, who works with our summer camp. Now, ask me that question again, so I can go back to what you said. Because I've been thinking in my head, oh, I cannot like forget.
No,
Yes.
and I get it, and I appreciate, like, that says so much, Dietrich, about the who you are and how you put care in leadership in this space. So I appreciate that, and I think you're giving everyone a glimpse of that. My question is, what are the things you do and the
Mm-hmm.
intentional
Mm-hmm.
decisions you make to create a space where, as you described it, like, people come and they feel they're a part of it, they feel they're welcome. But that's not necessarily what everyone feels everywhere, particularly when you're talking about communities where you mentioned it, right? Gentrification. There's so much change, there's so much uprooting of people. And how is it that this space is so intentional?
Well, we lead with our program planning. We use a model. It's called the Buick model, and it establishes a sense of belonging, a sense of usefulness, a sense of influence, and a sense of competency in everything that we do. We try to have those things established through everything. We do every special event, every program. And by leading with that, it allows us to not forget and to be more inclusive with our immediate community around us and how we operate. And we can point to it, right? Because, I write grants, and one of the things that people often come to me and ask me is that when I help them write them grants, I realize we don't have a grant problem. We have a program problem. People
Hmm.
want to write grants for events and times, but not programs or special events. And if they had an opportunity to develop, I guess we'll say their program, it'll be easier to execute. And that's, I think, I don't think I know, that's what's made it easier for us to execute because we go through with that model.
So, in the model being the Buick model within the programs,
Mm-hmm.
that's the main thing, and so that helps you, like, how you're able to then make that a part of the grants itself? Is
Mm-hmm.
that what you're sharing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you're running a program, or how would you establish a sense of belonging by being in this program? What are we talking? The beginning of the program, the middle of the program, the end of the program? How, and
Mm,
so you begin to order your thoughts and how those things happen. Like what actions need to be taken so those
mhm,
things can happen. And so I actually write those things down. um, and then we have programs from it. We have 12-week programs, 5-week programs, special events. So
mhm,
the intentionality helps us also. We debrief on what we've done. Right? How can we get better, even when we were being intentional? Right? How can we be more
mm,
intentional?
mhm,
Right? And so we actually aim to do those things when we have our programs. Like when we did the Murals Festival this year, Anacostia has never had a Murals Festival. We put up 75 murals. And one of the main things was just inclusion. It was just belonging, right? And so we were going to be there are mural opportunities around the city, and it's all competition. And we
Mhm.
all understand that, competitions because we're adults. But what if it wasn't? It doesn't have to be a competition, right? If you could put the parameters in place, and that's what we did. We didn't do a competition. We enjoy working with first time artists who've never done a mural. Some artists who've done 80 murals, as many murals as us, more, right? We even had some people who were amazing artists who are global, who are local. We have global artists living locally who people just who don't recognize and know, right? And they're just walking around, just doing amazing stuff. And so we've galvanized all those people, as many as we
Mhm.
can, and created a sense of belonging when everybody want to create community. And this year, in 2026, the Murals Festival, and creating in the spirit of create community again, we're going to take our Murals Festival from Anacostia all the way to Nanny Helen Barrow. That's about 4 miles, 4.5 miles
Mhm.
across Minnesota Avenue, which will include parks, houses, schools, churches, apartment buildings, corner stores. So, and we're looking at about 45 murals on the low end,
Mhm.
going straight up that stream. And then we're going to be adding the lot next door. We actually have that as well now. And so because we have the lot next door, we're going to be adding another 35, 40 murals at the gallery site itself. So, this gallery space has been an amazing opportunity to work with people from all walks of life and just to be able to shine a light on what they're doing in our
Mhm.
neighborhood. We have so many
Mhm.
people. We look for celebrity so much. I think we should be looking for community, people in our neighborhoods who do the same things.
Well,
Um,
and it sounds like and giving people opportunities, right?
yeah.
Like, that's it, like, that I love that there's such a, like, intentionality of not having hierarchy even in, like, artistic spaces, which is something you don't see always, right? Experience often creates, like, this privilege over others and, like, opportunity over others, and it sounds like you're really intentional in making that for new artists, for growing artists, for young artists, right? Like, all of it is really clear. And there's so much like, I mean, I love your Buick model. I think, so I work in a school system and we talk about honoring humanity and belonging and inclusion and recognizing people and seeing them is such a big part of it. And I see that you're getting the chat talking. Thank you. Welcome, no holdbacks. Tasha says, love it. Exposure and representation is everything. Let younger people see this. Absolutely. So let's talk about that because I think also like the art is healing, right? And the show is Pain to Power. So more than that, right? Like you're healing the community. But I want to go back to like you mentioned Michaela and you mentioned Michaela coming in with her headphones, right? I'm sure there's other students that come in that are bringing a lot more than just the
Oh yeah.
eagerness of doing
Oh yeah.
art, right? So like what are some of those other things? Because sometimes belonging is difficult when kids aren't ready for it. Like they it's almost like unsafe, right? Like a space
Hmm.
being unsafe is so important. So what do you do or what have you noticed happens, there that maybe creates that safety and trust for the kids? And for
Boundaries.
adults, let's be honest.
Well, very true for adults as well. Boundaries and redirection. Boundaries and redirection. Like that's a huge thing. We have, although we're called Capitol Hill Boys Club, like 80% of our participants are girls. We have over 400 kids in our
Mm,
program, right? And Brian, Mark, myself, we've had nights where, kids run away. They run to us. And we're like, wait a minute. But, we
mm,
didn't realize that we're becoming such a safe space where people will feel comfortable. It's like, no, I need you to talk to my parents. No, I need you to talk to my counselor. No, I need you to talk to my parole officer. No, I need you to do this because they're not listening and they're not hearing me. And so,
mm,
we've become a space there where we work with families, we work with agencies, and people that are in distress and not in distress, in that safe space that we created. So that's one of the things we didn't anticipate. Um, Kids, you know, the foster system, the foster care system, things of that nature showing up at our doorsteps, and us having to do checks and callbacks to make sure things are the way they're supposed to be.
mm,
We didn't anticipate that, or in any kind of volume like we're seeing, right? Because we didn't think that at any point we were just making it open, but so many young ladies come in and they just stick to us. They just stick to us, and we didn't think about us being the first positive male representation they may have seen before. Like
Mm.
you said, it's a shock. You know,
Mhm.
we've
Mhm.
heard about people like this, but you know, we haven't experienced black people like this in
True.
our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they ask offbeat questions like, "How did you become like this?" You know, they ask us questions, "How do you become good, like a good person?" Like they always ask these kind of things, and you know, we remind them that you know we've all had humble beginnings. We've all, you know, had some sort of drama or sometimes a turmoil in our lives that allowed us to turn, you know, that pain into positivity and into
Mhm.
engagement. You know, it doesn't always have to be anger, or it doesn't always have to be a sport. It doesn't always, you know, have to be, you know, one thing or another. You just have to learn how to channel it. You know,
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest thing for some of the kids that we work with. We don't have any issues, but you know, when like today I was writing a bunch of recommendation letters for our middle school group of kids. We have quite a few who are trying to attend Duke Ellington's School of Performing Arts. This is a school that we are in communications with about this kind of
Mhm.
stuff and being like a bridge because we have kids in their school and we have a lot of kids in their school, and we have kids in middle school who are seeking to go to this type of school. So those discussions are wide open, but right now we're just giving the recommendation letters as asked, so the kids can have an opportunity to go to a great school like Duke Ellington. But you know, we just try to be positive and consistent, right? And all that
Mm.
belonging and usefulness and competence, it doesn't have the same effect if you're not consistent. So look,
And there's an element of what you said that I think often young people don't feel, which is that you treat them like humans, right?
yeah,
Like not just kids who are vessels we fill, right? But they're humans. They've got their own things. They've got their own needs, their own perspectives and opinions. And it sounds like you have all made a space for those to exist and actually then be funneled into expression and
mm-hmm,
art and
mm-hmm,
finding their leadership within that. So actually speaking of that, I want to on your website you have several different murals. You have the Ode to Asada Shakur and Rooted in Resilience. And when you think about some of the mural programs, are there any particular ones, like take us into the story behind those murals, right? Like they're very powerful, but what is it that ignited that thought in students? Like, how did they get to that? Where did some of those ideas come from? So if you were to think of a really, impactful mural you were a part of, tell me a little bit about the story behind that and what stood out to you from it?
a lot of the murals that we create have a large impact in our neighborhoods. Everyone is a different. It's a different feeling. It's an overwhelming feeling of joy, but they're all different. I would say the John Lewis murals that Mark and myself did, which Mark led on Capitol Hill, and that experience with the kids and the community was different because you know that's my neighborhood where I grew up at,
Mhm.
but two, it's so different. When I grew up, all those blocks were black for the most part,
Mhm.
and people would come up and talk to us about the neighborhood, and I would just listen, and I would go, that's that. Wait a minute, that's not this place. That's not this place. You know, and that's what happens. You know, people move into neighborhoods, and after 5 to 7 years, now they're telling a story of the neighborhood, and it'll sound like no place you ever been to before, and I think that was a great opportunity to let them know, like, hey, well, you know, let's be inclusive of this information here about how this neighborhood existed and how it operated. I always felt like my neighborhood was a beacon for Black excellence. There are a lot of positive, successful men and women, my peers from my neighborhood who are my age, who are
Mm.
very, 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 very successful in all walks of life. Many in celebrity, many locally, many nationally, um, directly from my neighborhood. It was different. It was different. It was different. But the John Lewis murals, creating those murals, people coming up talking to us, and this happens all the time. But people will stay and talk while I'm on a two-story. I'm 2 stories up on the lift, and they will talk up and down for
There's
like
a
an hour.
skill in and of itself for you.
Oh
So,
man, people would do all kinds of. People would come up, donate. People would give money. People would walk up, just do. Sometimes Mark would be out at like 11 at night, because we're just trying to get through it because it's such a. There were two-story murals, and people would come out at night and bring blankets and bring food and bring drinks and
mm.
bring soup, and it was very communal. It was a very 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 cool process.
That's so awesome. I mean, it makes me think of this, like the idea, people say if you feed them, they'll come, right? It's like if you
Hmm.
bring the art,
Hmm.
they'll come. Like that's what it
Hmm.
sounds like. Is like all you had to do. And it wasn't this push for things. It literally is just in your existence of being in the space. You created
Hmm.
this welcome for other people to come in, which is such a beautiful way to co-create and to also create the lens to expand people's understanding of each other, which is right now, honestly, right now, what we need is understanding of each other. What we need is healing, right? So that's so important right now in the world we exist in.
Hmm.
So I appreciate that. I mean, that's powerful. And I want to bring attention. There's another one that is not on your website, and I don't know if we're able to even find any images of this, but I just think it was a beautiful story, and I think I really appreciated what you did. But when I met you, we were at the Elephant Art Festival, and you had the installation of all of the National Gallery of Art pieces up. I would love to hear a little bit about the story behind those pieces to share with everyone and that experience of taking those into the National Gallery of Art to be displayed.
Yeah, that was a great experience and opportunity. That started with the National Gallery of Art was filming a documentary called Strike Like Lightning, and highlighting Dee Dwyer, who's a local artist, photographer, teacher. She's just amazing and brilliant on all fronts. And she's from the neighborhood of Anacostia. And so she was sharing her life and her story. And, we were lucky she chose our gallery just to use to do filming. And so the National Gallery of Art was there. We were just, sitting out on the stoop talking. And at the bus stop, the ads started rolling up and down. And I had this idea. I was like, we were teaching the kids about how to take unoriginal things and make them original, or how to steal, right? How to take a piece of art and then redo it and make it your own. And so we were going to use the bus stops, but we were going to use the bus stops as ads. So the pieces that you see, the National Gallery of Art, those are all different ads for our after school art program, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so Mark said, "Yo, let's have the kids build frames." I was like, "Well, that'd be cool because I don't know how to build frames." Mark taught me how to build frames. I was like,
That's a
"I
good
think
skill,
that'd be
though, as an
excellent, too."
artist, right?
Right? And so Mark led the way in instructing the kids on how to build the frames, and then they colored the frames, they designed the frames, and then we all took the same piece, and we had an exhibit. We called it Echoes, and we brought artists from our residency program and our kids, and then did a mashup and had the artists from the residency program during the school year work with each different group and to do their own. So out of the groups of kids, we have 4 kids who are actually a part of the Umbrella Art Fair as well. And these large pieces that we were shown at the National Gallery of Art, where we did a symposium at this past August, it was incredible. Like, we didn't know we were doing something groundbreaking. We was just working. We was just working. So the National Gallery of Art had chapters as the fastest growing art movement in the country, through their research department.
Awesome.
And
Mhm.
so we had a symposium where they wanted to talk about our growth and the things we were doing and how we do a lot of public art and how it's, doing things in DC. And we upon like bringing the artwork in, the people, the older Black guys who work there, never have had a moment to be authentically themselves, and they let their head out in that moment. And in that exchange, I know he was just shocked because we were breaking the rules. Like as a rule, you can't be in the Smithsonian. Well, National Gallery of Art is not a part of the Smithsonian, but that's another subject.
Mm.
You can't be in the National Gallery of Art. You can't walk art across the floor. You can't. It's against the rules for a myriad of reasons, safety reasons, insurance reasons. But we walk art across. We gonna bring it in. Like we gonna bring it.
Bring it
How
in
else is it
somehow,
gonna get
right?
there? How else is it gonna get there? But we didn't know that we couldn't do it. So we're walking it across, and nobody is saying a word. Nobody. I mean, we're walking through the whole East Wing, West Wing. Nobody's saying a word. And then these group of older Black men come out and say, "You niggas must be somebody important." And we just stopped, and we was like, "What?" We're like, "What?" He was like, "What?" And he's like, "I've never seen this before." And then the guy starts to tear up. He's like, "I've never seen Black men walking in this building in an authoritative way, having programming or being highlighted." And after that, they did a tour. The National Gallery of Art did a tour of 40 of the 80 murals we have over here east of the river that Mark and myself completed, along with other artists like Ryan and Lou and Brian. And that was a great experience. So those pieces, we always wanted to keep them like a collection because they're so striking when you see them. And so we sold a few at the fair, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we sold a few. They were
Nice.
they were moderately priced at like $10,000 a piece.
Yeah.
But again,
Well, congratulations. That I
it
mean,
means
and there's students who worked at like you young people and resident artists, right? Like working on
yes,
them together, which is, I
yes,
mean, that's such a beautiful collaboration right then and
yes.
there.
That I have a lot of pride in that. To go with the people who live in the neighborhood and then go to the because Umbrella, although we know about it because it's local, it was very much national this year in the way it was operating and running, and the artists that they had be a part of it. And we were very fortunate enough to curate a large space in there to put our imprint on it and bring our exhibition, our Echoes exhibition to hang there. But to work with artists from Anacostia, like that guy right here,
Mm,
that's Abdul. He lives in
okay.
Anacostia. You know what I mean? Like he lives
Yeah, yeah.
like these are. I believe in their work. I hope they believe in themselves as much as I believe in them.
Mm,
But it means a lot to take the people from around who live around the gallery, who lives in
absolutely.
Anacostia.
Yeah.
We're not cherry picking people at all. We're going with the people who are from the roots, people who live in the neighborhood, in the community first.
And to be seen, right? Like that's
Yeah.
it. You see people, you see the artists, you see them at young ages, you see them in their earlier stages. Like, and I think what I really appreciate and which I hope everybody's taken away is it's this philosophy of leadership that you have is that didn't change. I mean, you just named it. Like the National Gallery of Art had you pinned for like one of the fastest growing, which normally we see when things grow fast, they start to adjust in a different way. They start to move based on other people's metrics and not their
Yeah,
own
nah, yeah,
core, right? You've been so intentional with moving always in your own core. And I want to know, like, in terms of even making shifts, right? Like, so with community being involved so much with young people, with artists, neighbors, like, how has that involvement in this co-creation of CHBC, right? Like influence some change? Like, what are some things you've adapted and evolved in because you've gotten feedback or you've learned things along the way that didn't, like you said, some things don't work, right? Like,
hmm
but you learn from them. What did that look like, or what are some of the things that you noticed about those changes?
Well, we started getting visits. um, the gallery, the immediate corridor that we in is positively changing. It's still rough on some people's eyes, but those are people. The gallery. is centered in an open air drug market, right? Before we have all those murals surround the gallery, it was a wire fence, and people would overdose at a rate of 8 to 12 times a week in the summertime, right?
Mm.
And I couldn't have kids or people in the community come in and have so many things visible, and they still feel safe. And I'm saying still feel like you belong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we started to change those things by adding the fence, adding the murals, and being consistent, and being open. That's another thing. You got to be open, right? You got to be open,
Mhm.
and we do a great job. And I always open up early. Um, Mark opens up early too, but he'll definitely be the person on the later end. Him and Brian, they definitely do the latter end of the day where you'll see them a lot more. But FEMA came, FBI came, the government came, and they all wanted to sit down and talk with myself and Mark about how we were operating, the way we were operating. And, we would have 20-minute chats, 30-minute chats, and then the requests start coming with, oh, we're going to pay you now because we need more of your time to sit down and understand how you guys are doing what you're doing at that corner in that space. When we opened the space, it was the building was riddled with bullet holes. We replaced every window in the space, just about every window in the space. Um, we opened doors that people in the neighborhood have never seen before and opened in the space, and changing the structure of the laundromat and turn it into a two-space gallery. And just the community's feedback on, you know, we do different things. Like we go across the street and ask people, or go outside where people are hanging at, and
Mhm.
ask them. We will go knock on doors sometimes, or pass out flyers and tell people to email us or reach out to us and let us know what you think, to get exactly some of the things that they want to see, without dancing around it, or and telling them what the goal is, and some of the things that they would like to add to it, and we just incorporate what we can with what we can do. Sometimes we're able to incorporate two things. Sometimes we're able to incorporate five things. Sometimes we incorporate nothing, right? But
Mhm.
we make the attempt consistently, and they see it. So they see when the things have been incorporated that they suggested. They understand when it's not there, it's not because of anything other than we couldn't do it.
Right.
we couldn't do it. But when FEMA sat us down for a couple days to talk with us, because they couldn't, because being an open air drug market, they couldn't break through in the neighborhood and changing it,
Mhm.
and they didn't understand how we were able to make such a positive impact and be guarded by the same neighborhood that they feel like is violent.
Mm.
And we're like, well, I don't
But
see it
you
like
the it's a different narrative, like,
that. Yeah.
you elevated how when you shift the way you move with people,
Hmm.
you see the truth of people's humanity and stories, like, there's a whole 'nother difference there, and such a like, when you mention that, like, I just feel like it's often those are the people that wanna make technical fixes, but don't recognize the adaptive nature of
Hmm.
relationships and the
Hmm.
importance of it, and they wanna just stick a program somewhere, they just wanna, find some accountability process, right? Like, then we just need to keep things tighter, right? But
Hmm.
the program has demonstrated how and I talk about the show's called Leading with Love, it's Pain to Power, Leading with Love, that to me is the epitome of leading with love and co-creation and a sense of belonging and validating people through this process because they are part of it in their decisions and they see that and there's a big impact in that. So that's huge. That's huge. I
Yeah.
know we had some comments. I want to elevate them. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. A lot of people, um, when they see before we put the fence up, right? It was very the messaging vocally was very much the people around the building, the people around, on the sidewalk, people around the building, and it that's the part that I connect with actually, and how I grew up and having parents who deal with substance abuse and having to live with that, right? And to see the chaos and turmoil that it has done, right? not just to my family, but understand what it does to other people's family. And having really lived these experiences makes me feel protective of those same people that people want me to discard. And I think that it is outrageous that Black people want to discard other Black people
Mm.
because of what they look like. And I always feel like we are the last group of people who should be doing that. Um, period. Like, these people are here because they have nowhere else to go. Right? These
Mm.
people are addicts, users, dealers. They don't have anywhere else to go. This is, you know, people have allowed this. Certain people in charge have allowed this space to be an open air drug market. And if there's no violence, everybody's cool. And I'm like, that's not cool, because I got kids here.
Yeah.
We're serving kids here. We're gonna do something different here. And because, how I grew up, I know some of these people, and because they understand the things that I do. So then they start saying stuff like, excuse yourself, don't do drugs out here when the kids out here. Move your cars, move out the way. You know what I mean? Like, they want nice things in their neighborhood. I live in a neighborhood. I live, 2 lights up the street. Like, and so people want nice things in their neighborhood, and they don't want to feel like they are the eyesore in the community that prevents things from like this coming and staying. They want to feel like we're part of the reason that they stay. We're going to help protect them,
Mm. That's ownership, though, right?
Yeah.
Ownership to continue to create the space. That's huge and beautiful. And I know there was a comment. I just want to elevate what it was that
I'm
was
sorry.
said. No, so Leah Agent says, this is truly remarkable. Thank you, Dietrich and the Capitol Hill Boys Club, for sharing your story. Your dedication to the youth, the community, and the organizations you support is inspiring. Absolutely. And thank you for joining us, Leah. And so, with all of this in addition, right, it is a business, but I think you've made a lot of intentional decisions in the way you have business decisions and
Mm-hmm.
practices.
Mm-hmm.
You and I had a conversation about that, and I'd love to hear a little bit about that, because leading with love also involves, right, the back end of things. So there's the present things, right, the things that you're doing with the youth, the things you're doing with all the artists and with the community, but what on the back end in your business decisions are things that still have you stand out in being more transformational and really in almost like this resistance to a system and falling into the traps of the parameters of systems?
Mm-hmm. Self-sufficiency. That's the biggest thing for myself, and that we push as artists. We sit in a different lane as artists. We at the bottom, middle, and the top. When you're dealing with an artist, you're dealing with the sole proprietor and the corporation sometimes. And when you work for a person, you can distinguish the different levels of people who you're going to talk to. But as artists, it's a bit different. And so because of that, our posture and the way that we communicate sometimes changes, because we're probably the easiest group to get over on, artists, when you think about it. Artists, yeah, the easiest group to get over on. And so we look to flip that on its head. And how can we be self-sufficient? We don't have to worry about people getting over on us. How can we be self-sufficient in a way, as an artist? And so, as I said, we're an artist gallery during the daytime hours. People come in, and like I said, we help them with grant writing if they're looking for funding. I help them with those things. I don't write grants for people. I mean, I do, but I don't. I like to tell people, if you just come, because people want to pay me a lot to do that, and I'm just like, if you just come sit beside me and do yours and I do mine, you ain't got to pay me. And sometimes that's how I'm able to distinguish who really wants to do it and who wants me to do it for them, right? And so when I see and they show that they really want to do it, and then I can be more useful to them. I can be more helpful to them, right? Because then we're sitting down and we're actually working on it, and I can see, okay, you don't have a grant issue, you have a programmatic issue, and part of it is, you don't know if you're doing a special event or an activity or an 8-week program. Like, people just don't know how to distinguish those things or the actionable items that goes between them. And my background has provided me a huge uh, way forward and operating business wise with that. This is how we're able to go across the world and go to different countries, go to different islands, meet with people. You know, we took 19 people to Mexico, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was talking to some of the parents. I didn't realize every kid there, I think with the exception of two, and every parent there, with the exception of two, had never been out the country before. And here we are on our third international trip. And they're like, yeah, we never been nowhere before. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
And
So wait,
so,
can you go back? Because I want everybody to know. I know you and I talked about this before this show, but what did you take a group of children and parents to from Mexico so
oh,
everyone knows
okay.
what happened and what this was? Because it was a very fascinating, great experience.
Yes. So we have an international program. That's program number 7. Bing, boom. Our international meals program. um, and we go out of the country once or twice, funding permitted, a year to go service Black and brown communities that look like ours. That's it. And so we went to Playa del Carmen to do a mural at the School of Colegio Inglés. It is a elementary, middle, high school college. The campus is humongous. I mean, it is truly a campus.
Mm.
And so we took 9 kids. We had 10, but we took 9 on over to Mexico, and we went to the school every day. The kids have a schedule when we go on these international trips where they work for 4 to 5 hours every day.
Mhm.
And then afterwards, we go to lunch, and then we'll have some type of break. We'll do the beach, we'll go to museums, we'll go all this kind of stuff, do the cultural things in the evening portions of the day. And so we went 2 weeks ago. We visited 2 weeks ago, and the kids got to meet a group of kids I was telling you earlier. They got to meet a group of expats, transplants from the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area who now live in Mexico. They sitting there talking to people like, you eat mama's sauce too? like, yeah, I just live here now. So it was a great experience for the kids. Our kids created a 24-foot mural, and our kids curated and hosted a peer-driven talent show. That's what Lemonade did.
Which is one of our former guests twice on the
Yes,
show, Lemonade
yes,
Dream. So yes.
yes. She's an amazing artist, amazing mom. And so she did. I saw an opportunity for that, and I was like, okay, here's something we can add, and here's who we can add it with, and who's. And so it was great. The talent show had about 12 to 10 acts. 2 kids from our program participated. Lemonade, Alex, he participated. Another kid participated. And then 10 acts from the school. We did a ribbon cutting every day. The kids were at the school 5 hours. The school had 2 recesses. That's how I know we're doing it wrong. They have 2 recesses.
Oh, daily 2 recesses.
They have 2 recesses daily.
Because
We
kids
come
need
in.
to
We came
play
in
and
at
move and, right, like, not be sitting down, right?
no.
We do
We
it so
came in
wrong
at
when
10
we go
o'clock.
somewhere else.
We would come to the school at 10 in the morning, and by 11:30, we go, how these kids still at recess? What is going on? It's the longest recess ever. And we didn't know they have an hour for recess and an hour for lunch. They separate recess and lunch.
Mm.
And at lunch, you can still do recess, right? You're going to eat, but you can still, and the kids are able to freely move around. I've never seen anything like the place where I've seen this stuff at is kind of like Duke Ellington, right? High schools, specialty high schools, colleges.
Specialty, right?
These are the places
Yeah.
where I see these kids moving the way these kids are moving. They're very independent. One of the things Miss Anna was telling us is they tell the kids a lot is when you become an adult, there's not going to be a person to police you like you would be driving a car.
Mm.
And we need to get you ready for that, right? Like you need to know what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be doing, et cetera, et cetera. So the school was just phenomenal in that way. It definitely was a different experience at the school. Everybody ate the school lunch. That's how I knew. Another thing was like This place is different.
So it's funny that you say that whole idea of like letting them do things. I think I recently was reading the book The Anxious Generation, and part of what we've done that's broken our kids is that we've made them um, over like reliant on adults to solve
Mm-hmm.
everything, to do
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to Anna saying it, it's a lot of what you're doing is empowerment. And
Mm-hmm.
empowerment is so different, right? Even the grant writing, you talk about it, like it's empowerment is different than just giving someone something, than just showing it to them. And that's such a powerful element, it sounds like, of everything you're doing. So I love that. I love the program. So before we finish up today, first of all, thank you so much, Dietrich. Like this was amazing. I saw another comment. I just want to elevate it. I think it was Kevin Guinea, my friend from Substack. Thank you for joining us. He said that is true mentorship, coaching, and leadership in action with our approach to self-sufficiency. I love that. Absolutely, Kevin. Agreed. So Dietrich, what is coming up that people need to know about, be a part of? What programs, activities, opportunities? This is your floor to share all the things and where people can follow you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I guess first we'll start off digging out that 14 inches of ice out our parking
Yes.
lot. Yes. But the very next thing to come up in the springtime, because we're right on the heels of spring, in March is the 2026 Anacostia Murals Festival. We're still looking for a few homes on the Minnesota Avenue corridor on the southeast side, where we'll be doing murals, creating murals from Minnesota and Marionberry Avenue and bringing them all the way down to Minnesota and Nanny Helen Barrow. And so we're looking at 40 to 45 murals going there. There will be activations and pop-ups at the parks, not the national parks on Minnesota Avenue, or the local parks with Department of Recreation that will be activating. And that will be during the month of April and May, but we'll start doing like sign up in February for artists, for volunteers. Even if you're a homeowner at one of the addresses we have listed, we're a homeowner with one of the addresses we have listed. I'm just trying to connect in that way. And then after that, we go to St. Lucia for our international trip to do murals at St. Bellotta Primary School. And we'll be going to New York City in the Lower East Side for spring break as well. So we'll be taking 2 trips simultaneously. Our new kids who are on out, because everybody wants to go out the country, right?
Right.
Everybody want to go get on a plane. We're like,
Yeah.
well, hey, these kids who have gone out the country, before they did that, they went to Seattle, they went to Northwest, they went to Virginia, they went to, so, before we take you to Paris, or before we take you to the Caribbean, or Central America, anywhere, we're going to do nationally first for some of those guys in the mural program. So we have a group of, I think, 5 to 8 kids that we're going to be taking to New York City this spring break. And then following that, we're going to be doing a youth exhibit for all of our kids in our after school programs called Boxing One. Stay with me. This is all about themselves and individuality and expression.
Beautiful.
And then from there, we'll do our murals camp that we start in June. But one thing to look out for possibly is we have things we got. Things crossed that out, having a discussion with the DCPS this week, and they want to do a citywide art exhibit, and we're talking about how we would lead that, how we would create that, and using multiple galleries around the city to create multiple activations for the kids and the communities between the months of June and August. So those are the few things that are coming up for us.
Just a few.
Yeah.
just a few, like a few things here and there, right?
And when the warmer months come, because we did not have it last month, our spoken word event, we have that once monthly where we pay spoken word artists have an opportunity to earn money to perform, and musicians, and collaborate and perform together for an evening. So we're looking forward to that coming back in February, barring the weather is above like 40 degrees. So those few things that we're doing. You should see some ads in the paper, the poster, the
And on your
form.
website, will we be able to follow your website to get some of
Yes,
this?
yes,
And you on social media? Where do we find
yes.
you on social media?
Social media, CHBC Art Gallery,
All right.
CHBC Art Gallery, or you can follow me at Dietrich W. Diet Rich W, Dietrich W. Stop past the gallery anytime. We're there all day. Even if you see the shutters down, that's always the one to tell people. If you see the shutters down, we have a side door because you don't want to always open those shutters. And we'll just be doing admin work. We'll be in there. If you see a car in the parking lot, we're in
There's
there.
someone there.
Come knock on the door. And the
Early in the
lights are
morning, late at night, it sounds like so
yes,
all the time, right?
yes,
Once the
yes,
snow is cleared, once the ice is gone, yes.
yes. We got to get this
So
ice out
keep
of here.
following Dietrich. All those links are below here on the YouTube and the description. You can see the website. You can see his Instagram, CHBC art gallery. Make sure you are paying attention to all of it because if you are an artist yourself and looking for
Mm-hmm,
a space, it sounds like you have a place to go in this
mm-hmm.
local area of DMV. If you are a parent and you have a child that you would like to be a part of this program, you've got a space to go, right? So keep following Dietrich. Thank you so much. This was a beautiful conversation. I think we walked away with so many great new ideas. One of just how do we really intentionally create belonging, right? It doesn't happen by accident. It really is
Mm-mm.
happening when we choose to build something together, when the core is creativity and community is part of this shared responsibility, which you really elevated throughout today, right? So I want to just continue to elevate this idea of how we lead with love and turn that pain into power through creativity, through expression, through empowerment. And just a reminder to make sure you're tuning in every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern
Mm-hmm.
Standard Time for Pain to Power with me and new dynamic guests. Go and follow Dietrich, follow CHBC Art Gallery. And also, and I don't know, Dietrich, if I told you, but I'm a writer. So I've been writing, and I actually just wrote a new piece about the idea of a belonging, but more so within how I created belonging by reclaiming. This is a series that I've been writing based on my framework, Return, and
Nice.
it's called Coming Home to Self-Love. And this one is called What It Took to Bring Us Home. It's a very personal piece about my reclaiming of my family and what that looked like to create belonging in a space where there was a lot of mistrust and fractured relationships. So please go check it out.
I sure
Dietrich,
will.
and definitely everybody here, check it out. I'm on Substack. The links and information are all in my bio and all of my social media. Follow me. I'm Brown Girl Interrupting. If you haven't done it yet, please make sure if you're in the chat, if you're watching right now, subscribe to the channel, like, and leave a comment. Tell us what resonated with you. Dietrich left some really powerful gems of what it is to have belonging, what it is to bring community together. Share a thought. We love to hear your thoughts and your questions, and keep them coming. Keep coming here. And thank you so much again to all of my iRant family, to everyone who was in the chat, to everyone tuning in, and of course to my amazing producer, Mr. Montaigne Masek, also known as Jaw Logic. Thank you again. Thank you to everyone tuning in. And thanks again, Dietrich. This was a beautiful conversation. And I feel like I learned so much about your leadership through it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. In the month of June, I do a community 3-day training series on community. Yep. I bring
Oh,
in
I love
trainers.
that.
Yep. I bring in
So is it
trainers.
community engagement training?
Yep, community engagement for people who may be running summer camp, working with kids. It is free. I do cover lunch. Pay trainers to come in for 4 days to work with not just my team, but
Mhm.
other community-based organizations in the neighborhood or in Southeast or Northeast. And we just do a 4-day training. That's a very, very important thing that we're trying to grow and that we do. We had a great group over the past 3 years that we've done it, but we're trying to grow the group, and we know this is something that should be done like repetitiously. Uh,
Right.
but but who's going to be in charge of making sure this crazy stuff gets done? So we have our one time that we do it a year. It is in June. It is the last week of June before we open up summer camp. It is a week-long training that will be on our website. That is free. We'll probably have we probably hold 20 people, probably like 20 people at the most. In addition
First
to
come,
our
first
team that we
serve. Make
have.
sure you get on that. That's huge. I
Yeah.
mean, because then it is like right to your point, like to replicate the process, the structures, the framework, the rationale that you have in another space is so powerful because there are so many communities across the board, right? Even just in the DMV area that could use a lot of this, right? So I love that. And I'm so glad you elevated that. So make sure you are following the website. Do they sign up for any newsletters or anything? We just have to follow. We just follow the website.
Yep, you can follow the website, or we do a quarterly newsletter that we're starting this
Okay.
year. We're going to be releasing it right after the Murals Festival, so I guess it's like the middle of the second quarter. This year that we're going to be releasing to do exactly what we're talking about now, to let people know what's coming for the next quarter and a recap of the previous quarter. That is something we started doing. The newsletter will
Love
be
that.
posted on our website that we're going to do quarterly. So yes, look out for that.
Fantastic. I can't wait. I can't wait to bring my daughter to some of these and get involved
Please
myself.
do. Yes, please do. Please
Definitely.
do.
Oh, absolutely. I've told you she's an artist and and a space like this is really transformational and so different. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone. Have a beautiful evening. Don't forget, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and hit the bell so you are here every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to be with me, Maria Cosme, Brown Girl Interrupting, for more stories on turning our struggles into strength, on pain to power. Peace, love, and light.